Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 2012 movie The Woman in Black. The Woman in Black was based off of a book that I believe was a classic book, and so in my opinion, normally the movies for classic books are better than the books themselves. So I feel like when I read the book, I'm going to be a little disappointed because I actually surprisingly did enjoy the movie, and I have some very strong thoughts on the movie. Let's start off with the trigger warnings, and let me be clear, when I say trigger warnings, I mean trigger warnings. I don't mean there's a mention. I don't mean that these things are hinted at. I mean it graphically shows these things happening. It's a very graphic movie in the sense that you see really disturbing things happening right in front of you, but it isn't graphic at the same time because you don't see like someone getting cut open. You don't see like blood, you don't see like bones, but you do see very graphic and disturbing things. So the trigger warnings are suicide, child death, and maternal death. And in case you don't know much about me, suicide is a very tough subject for me, and it was challenging to watch this film and see so many suicides happen in the film and see it so like visually happening, not just hinting at it, because sometimes I can handle a movie bringing up suicide if it's just hinted at, but some of the stuff was just like really disturbing that they were showing in the film. So keep that in mind, this film is not for everyone. This film is about, I believe, what's called a solicitor. So there's this guy who's trying to settle the affairs of this young woman who has passed away, but the house that he is trying to settle the affairs with, the house is haunted because of the tragic past of the previous residents who lived in this house. It's sort of a mystery where you see all these supernatural things happening and the mystery slowly unfolds about what exactly happened and why it's happening. So I ended up getting my sister-in-law's sister to watch the movie with me. Is there a word for a sister-in-law's sibling? A sister-in-law-in-law? I'm not sure. So I ended up getting my sister-in-law's sibling to watch it with me because I'm really scared of horror films. I'm glad I did. That definitely helped me handle the film. However, I would say that this film was more suspenseful and eerie and disturbing than an actual horror film. There were a few jump scares, but it's not gonna have you like heart racing so bad that your chest is hurting and like shutting it down because it's that scary. But I do want to say that the scariness did catch up to me at like 1 a.m. and I did get a little paranoid at night, but it wasn't too bad. So I have to say, if you are not a huge horror movie fan and you can handle like disturbing and graphic stuff, then definitely give this movie a shot. I really did enjoy it, as I said, and for me to enjoy a horror movie, that's saying a lot about the movie because normally I hate horror movies. So of course I watched this for Daniel Radcliffe because this is part of my Daniel Radcliffe series, and while I did think that Daniel Radcliffe did incredible, I was really shocked and surprised by the kids who were in the film. The kids were having to do disturbing things and act really creepy, yet the kids were amazing. They were just as great of actors as Daniel Radcliffe, and I was really surprised that they were able to handle the dark content matter of the movie so well. But I was also really impressed at all of the kids' performances. This movie is heavy on the kids. Like, yes, Daniel Radcliffe is the main character, but besides Daniel Radcliffe, I feel like the thing you see next, like the characters you see most, are kids. So I thought that that was really cool, and I think that it added to the creepiness and disturbing element because normally in horror movies, kids aren't really in it. So that definitely amped up the level of disturbing to have so many kids in it that were doing like creepy things and having creepy things happen to them. I also felt that this film had very beautiful scenery and set design. It was really well like set up. All the props were awesome. And speaking of props and set design, one of the things that I appreciated most about this movie is that I feel like a lot of horror movies nowadays have tons of CGI, like CGI monster, CGI this, CGI that. There's so much CGI everywhere, but this film really seemed to incorporate lots of parts that weren't CGI. It seemed like a lot of the elements of the movie were actual like working elements. So things like a rocking chair that's creaking, it seemed like they were actually creaking the rocking chair and not doing it CGI, which I thought was really cool. Like, this movie was made in 2012. They could have used a ton of CGI, but instead they opted to use some practical elements in it. And I really like that type of creativity, and I think we need more of that because that's just so cool. You don't have to rely on digital stuff all the time. You can do some more fun elements that are like actually happening when they're shooting the film and that don't get added in later. It's just really cool, and I really liked that about the movie. So those are basically all my non-spoiler thoughts. As you can tell, I surprisingly really did like this movie. I do think that it's a very dark and heavy subject matter, so I wouldn't say that I'd necessarily watch this movie again anytime soon. I have to be in the right headspace to rewatch it, but I definitely would rewatch it in a year or two because I did really enjoy it. And I feel like it's scary enough to give me like a little bit of an adrenaline rush, but it's not so scary to the point where I can't handle it. So I did enjoy this movie and I would recommend it, but if you're someone who watches horror movies and gets disappointed when you don't get like super duper scared, then maybe skip this one because maybe it's not for you. I have two things that are spoiler related that I do want to talk about, so if you don't want to see spoilers, feel free to tap on to the end of the video, just click away from the video, whatever you feel like doing. So let's start off with talking about the opening scene. There's three girls jumping out the window and killing themselves. That was really triggering and disturbing for no reason, and I felt like that was a very bad opening scene because yes, there are kids killing themselves in the movie because the woman in black is forcing them to do that. But why did you have to start with this specific scene? Like, couldn't they have made it more clear that the woman in black was controlling them in that scene? It was sort of frustrating, and I was like, I feel like that scene alone would turn a lot of people away from the movie. And then, on the polar opposite end of the spectrum, let's talk about the ending. So the ending wasn't what I expected, but it really worked for the film. So in the ending, Arthur goes to try and save his son who is being controlled by the woman in black to go on the train tracks. And so Arthur jumps on the train tracks to grab his son, the train hits them, they both die. In the afterworld, they're reunited with the dead woman who was Arthur Kip's wife and the little boy's mom. It was like really depressing and sad, don't get me wrong, death is really depressing and sad, but it was like an interesting way to overcome the woman in black, because the woman in black's goal was to strip children away from their parents so that those parents could feel the pain that she felt when she lost her child. So that was like her goal, but by Arthur dying at the same time as his son and getting to live with his son in the afterlife, they defeated the woman in black. Well, they didn't really defeat her because I know there's a sequel, but like they overcame what she was trying to do. They changed the path that she was trying to write out for them. I thought that was really cool. It was definitely really like shocking, and I was a little like, did they really just die? But it really worked well. I'm sort of curious what the sequel is going to be about, but I don't know if I want to watch it because I only watched this for Daniel Radcliffe. And as I said, I'm not a huge horror fan, so if there's any chance that The Woman in Black 2 is scarier than the first movie, I won't be able to handle it. So that was really all for my thoughts on The Woman in Black. I rented The Woman in Black on Amazon Prime. You can also rent it on Vudu, I believe. It's currently not on any of the streaming services that I have. Trust me, I checked and I have pretty much all the streaming services. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. I upload videos 3 times a week, so my next video will be uploaded tomorrow. This was part of my Daniel Radcliffe series, and the playlist to that series will be linked down in the description below. You can hear me talk about all of Daniel Radcliffe's other movies and TV shows. I hope all of you are having a great start to your week, and I'll see all of you in my next video. Goodbye!